in the marketplace, but they were coming off here too, because we had forgotten kind of who we were and what we were all about. My entire founding management team retired because they all had 4-year stock options, and you know, that was 1996 that they were hired. So when 2000 came, many people said, you know, I think I'm going to retire, and that team was critically important to holding this company together. I hired in a new team, and it took less than a year for things to start going scattershot. And so when the bubble burst, we had just moved into this facility here. So I was standing there saying, we've got this unbelievably opulent, for us, facility, and you know, our market's in turmoil, and the company's in turmoil. So we put ourselves on a 6-step plan. We let 20% of the employees go in the company, which was incredibly tough. It's the only time the company's done it, but we acted quickly, and I think that's something you got to do as an entrepreneur. 2, we stuck with our culture, and we told them like it was. I held, in the building A over there, I held 3 sequential meetings. I remember how exhausted I was at the end of the day, 2.5 hours each, you know, one group of employees at a time, because we simply couldn't fit them all in the room that we were in. We were in our cafeteria. But I told them the 7-point plan, and people were shocked. But so, you know, so what was required was decisive action. And so we let 20% of the people go. We shut down about 35% of our engineering projects because we were all over the map. We were like, yeah, security, let's research it. And we had lost our core focus. We quit giving away free Cokes, which we were absolutely assailed for on every message board in the world. And I used to walk around this building at night and throw away, you know, it was like a 12-year-old birthday party where everybody takes a sip and sets it down. And the other thing, I think the average employee in this company lost about 10 pounds after we quit giving away free sodas. And the worst part of it was Rich Macchia, our CFO, caught the soda delivery guy carrying 2 duffel bags worth of sodas out with him one night because they were free. So he was delivering them and taking them out at the same time. This is how out of control the bubble got. So we said, no more free Cokes. It's not going to be a profit center, but it sure as hell ain't going to be a cost center either. So I think we were making a nickel a can back then. But so we did. You know, we look back on that today and say, so what? But that was, you know, almost became an entitlement in the bubble. And I showed the employees that Cokes in this building were costing us 4 engineers a year. That's what we were up to. I said, so do we want to have free Cokes and let 4 more engineers go, or do we want to have 4 more engineers? It was a really simple decision when we put it in those terms. But we woke up, you know, after we missed our earnings, and we voted to survive and to thrive, and that was the quarter that obviously September 11th changed the world as well. So not only were the markets in turmoil, you all lived through them, but the free world was in turmoil. And I'm really proud because we dedicated this building at the end of September. Governor Barnes was here and Sam Nunn was here, and we had already beat the quarter and were profitable on the day that we dedicated this building. So I felt great out there, knowing I couldn't tell anyone that, but I think it was like September 25th or September 26th. We were already ahead, and we have never looked back. That little bit of medicine was really, really important to us. We've never had an unprofitable quarter since then, not even close. We've built profitability, we've grown, we've changed our strategy, and I think that's the other thing that's hard for an entrepreneur is when something's not working, you might have to cut bait and change things, and there's no context for what's right and what's wrong. So you have entrepreneurs that stand before you and that say persistence, tenacity, blah, 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 and then, at some point, though, if something's not working, change it. Because if you're doing the same thing, you're probably going to get the same results, whether you do it a little faster or a little slower. And so that is something that I learned here was, sometimes we had to make some hard decisions, and we've had plenty of failures here. I know my first entrepreneurial startup was in Boston, shortly after I had gotten out of Georgia Tech, and it's a company called Actuation Electronics, made precision motion control for the machine tool industry, using computers basically to control motion as opposed to wrist, as opposed to anything else. And interestingly, I went out of business because I got too many orders. I had no balance sheet, I had no funding, and I had so many orders and the cost of goods and the materials, and I was too young to really understand what was happening with cash flow. I went to raise venture capital, and I was the only venture capital I could raise. I was going to give up 96% of the company for $1 million, and I just thought, why do I even want to be in business? So we literally gave the design to one of our customers and said, here, you build them, you've got a balance sheet. But so I think, we're pretty humble because we know it's only one in so many that actually work. And I'm personally one for 3 that I've operated in. I had another company called Leapfrog Technologies where I was in Boston. It was a software company. It did okay, but not great. And so, ISS has been an overwhelming success, and I think as we take this next step with IBM, will be an interesting case study for someone because we went from kind of idea to funding to IPO to kind of global expansion, and now we're taking this next step with IBM with kind of the same founding leadership team in place. And so you have to modify certain things as an entrepreneur when you go through these growth stages, but there are certain things that I don't think you have to modify. Probably the most consistent question for me is, how could you be a complete zero-based startup CEO and then be a CEO that grew the company to IPO and then be a CEO that ran a public company for 9 years, and now you're going to be a general manager? What are you doing? Why are you going to be a general manager at IBM? Everybody's asking me questions. So when are you going to start your next thing? I said, no, I'm very, very excited about this because I'm still excited about the opportunity that ISS has. I'm still excited about this marketplace. And I was one of the strongest proponents, which I never thought I would be, of getting ISS together with IBM. Because I saw an opportunity, I saw a marketplace that was changing, and I saw an opportunity for this company to truly fulfill its most ambitious vision that was, cast on the canvas many, many, many years before within IBM, leveraging their resources, their research, and their channel to market. And so I think this is the best of both worlds for IBM and for ISS. We're going to be operating as an independent business. I'll be the general manager so the employees can look to consistent leadership. We're basically pursuing the same strategy. We're just going to do it on steroids. And, this will be an interesting certainly it will be an interesting transition to be public company CEO for 9 years and then to run the same company with bosses you don't even know that they're your bosses. So I'm sure there are lots of those people, but I have found IBM to be incredibly professional and well put together, and so I'm tickled pink about the opportunity. So IBM is asking me to bring an entrepreneurial, keep and maintain an entrepreneurial and culture of innovation here, which is why they want to keep it independent. They said, we don't want to force our culture on you. We want to force, the good things on you. Lots of new customer opportunities, new research out of our research labs, resources to build the products that you're dreaming about. But, short of that, drink out of your purple shoes, sit on your green couch, and keep operating out of Atlanta. So I think in closing here, before we open up for questions, I would just say, that being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. I don't really discern. To me, it's just business. It's creating value, and all businesses, I think, are, and all business leaders are, entrusted with building and creating value. The difference with the entrepreneur is where your starting point is. So if your starting point is, I'm a product manager in a $90 billion company like IBM, there isn't a heck of a lot of risk from day to day. I think everyone can ascribe a certain amount of risk to whatever they do. But as an entrepreneur, it can go away and go away quickly. And I think it's that passion and that motivation that actually makes it all worthwhile. Because in the end, the thing that I think most entrepreneurs are motivated by is to see their dream come true. You'll find very few entrepreneurs that made it that say, the whole reason I did this is because I wanted to create a lot of fame for myself, or I wanted to create a lot of money for myself. I mean, the odds are you're going to lose a lot of money. So, you wouldn't want to take that bet to make a lot of money, but it can happen. But the fulfillment really and truly is in seeing the dream come alive. So I hope yours does. I'll open it up for questions.